So in April 2021, I published this video right here. It was one of my first videos to go semi-viral, I would suggest, in that it got picked up by YouTube and gained me quite a lot of subscribers as a result. And I thought it would be interesting to revisit this video because it's still doing really well. It's over 8,000 views. But I wonder, nearly 2 years on, do I still feel the same about the difficulties that I talked about in this video in Italy, or have things changed? Let's find out, shall we? Let me tell you, without speaking the language, it's one of the most difficult and toughest things about living in another country. I love living here in Italy, and especially here in the south, because the people are so friendly and warm-hearted. But when you cannot engage back with them and you can't have that interaction, you isolate yourself immediately, and you make things like forming friendships and connections so incredibly difficult because you just simply cannot understand one another. So the language barrier. I would say that it is still difficult, but I've definitely made more progress. I can definitely communicate more now than I could back when I recorded that video. And also I can definitely understand more of what is going on around me now than before. I would say that another big thing that has changed since when I recorded that video is that I have stopped being so hard on myself. I have also stopped judging myself for how long it has taken me to both learn the language and also for how much available time I actually have to dedicate to learning the language. I spend my time in different ways, and I have a lot of projects that I'm working on behind the scenes, and I think sometimes we can watch a YouTube video about somebody who's learned a language in, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, or can speak several languages, and use that as a way to make ourselves feel less good about ourselves. I think what I've really come to understand is that it is a journey, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and that it doesn't really matter what other people think about your personal journey for learning a language. They are not living your life. They can come up with opinions and share their thoughts, but in a sense, that is all that they are. They are that person's opinions and that person's thoughts. They are not necessarily representative of your life and how you live it. So I think, I have definitely come to learn to separate other people's judgment from my own personal experiences. It really doesn't matter what other people think. People are going to have an opinion about you whether you speak the language or not. I think I've just come to be a lot kinder to myself about the whole language learning journey, and also a lot more proud of all the things that I have achieved, considering that my language level has been so low for 4 years. So yes, I'm very happy to look back on this video now and see the progress that I have made and continue to make, and it's definitely something that I want to improve upon even more so this year. Here in the south of Italy, it's like London in slow-mo. Like, there are siestas, and as I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, the shops will close here around 1:30 and reopen around 5 o'clock. And I struggle with that because if I have a gap in my working schedule and I want to pop out and do something, often in the afternoons, everything's closed. The pace of life. This is something that I definitely feel differently about now at nearly 2 years on. I definitely appreciate the slower pace of life here now more so than I ever did before. I really appreciate the time to concentrate on eating your food, the stillness of the afternoon. I appreciate having available time to do the things that I want to do. In fact, I just appreciate time so much more now than I ever did in the past. And I think, I realize that time is incredibly abundant, and it is something that you cannot buy. It's something very special, and it's something that I think Italians really truly value and understand, is the importance of time and of living in the moment. And so I definitely embraced this a lot more since I recorded this video, and for now it's something that I really have gotten used to and enjoy more so than I did in the past. It is antiquated, and don't expect to come here and expect to find online portals or systems where you can seamlessly sort out everything you need to do, because it doesn't work that way. Here it's very old-fashioned. You need to go to each individual office to get things sorted out. There isn't a uniform body that deals with everything that you need to sort out, and prior to COVID, there wasn't really the online facility to do things, but obviously they've had to adapt slightly because of the COVID restrictions and allow more things to be done through the online medium, but it isn't how the systems are built. Okay, bureaucracy. This is one that I have kind of moved in and out of difficulty with since I recorded this video. I have had a fairly good run with bureaucracy here in Italy, if I'm very honest, because I managed to sort everything out very early on when I moved here to Italy. But obviously post-Brexit, this has brought up some more complications. Now, I was very fortunate in being able to get all the documents together that I needed to confirm my status here in Italy post-Brexit. But now I am navigating some residency delays since I've moved to Palermo. So yes, this is something that I feel is an ever-evolving relationship. It's an ever-evolving difficulty. I think you can go through moments in life where you are okay with the bureaucracy, probably because you don't actually have any to deal with. But also then you have moments where you come across frustration and delays and nothing makes sense and every part of Italy does things differently. Yeah, this is kind of where I'm at the moment. But I have definitely become more accepting about the bureaucracy here in Italy since I recorded this video. I understand this is just how it is here. There is no point getting stressed about a system that is probably never going to change. You may as well just do what you can to manage the situation, to take charge of the situation, to try to get the situation resolved. But becoming frustrated about it is absolutely never going to make a blind bit of difference. And I think this is probably the one thing that has changed. It's my ability to see bureaucracy in a different way compared to when I first filmed this video. About roles and responsibilities of women, for example, and you know, the way that the house is run and managed. And I find this difficult because I come from a very forward-thinking country where women are like, you know, just as valid as men. Of course, inequality still exists, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely more of an incentive to progress and do more as a woman in the UK than I feel like there is here in the very south of Italy. Okay, old-fashioned culture, yeah, this is still a difficulty for me. Nothing's changed in nearly 2 years. In the south, I do find that a lot of people are more closed-minded and they live more traditional lives, which is different for me because I come from London and life is less traditional there, I would say. So I think this will always be a difficulty, and it's a difficulty just because it's a cultural difference. And, you know, it's okay to have differences. I can't come here and expect people to change their way of thinking just because I come from another country, but I can come here to Italy and live in the south of Italy and learn from the people around me, the lessons that are relevant for me, but also retain my open-minded attitude, because essentially this is something that I never want to lose. I think it's very normal for me to view life in a more optimistic way and to look at the possibilities than it is to focus on the negativity and the lack of opportunity. So I think it's important for me to hold on to that, but it doesn't mean that I have to change who I am because of what is around me. So this is something that's changed a little bit for me, I guess, since I recorded this video, in that it is still a difficulty, but it's definitely something that I manage a lot better now than I did in the past. There isn't so much of a culture for online shopping. Now, don't get me wrong, for the big brands and the big companies, of course, they have an online presence, but for the individual shop on the high street, it's very rare for them to have a website or an online presence. And when this pandemic hit, it absolutely ripped the carpet out from underneath their feet because they weren't prepared not to be able to open their businesses and have in-presence customers anymore because they didn't have this online facility. So I think it's really opened my eyes a lot to the more traditional way of shopping here. And also, for example, if you buy something that you don't like or doesn't suit your needs, your refund and exchange policies here are very different to how they are in the UK. The shopping experience. I think I'm more accustomed now to the way things work here in the south of Italy. The shopping experience is so different. And honestly, I buy a lot of things on Amazon now. I think Amazon is the way that I can navigate the shopping situation here if I can't make it to the shops within a particular time. I think I've just gotten used to life here, and I think essentially this is what happens. When you move to a country, initially you have difficulties, you experience things, but there's always a constant evolution and progress that you go through. And so I think it's interesting sometimes to reflect on how you may have felt 2-3 years ago compared to how you feel now, because there are bound to be some changes. There are bound to be some things that you've learned or some things that you now do differently. And I think, you know, I've definitely adapted more since I recorded this video. I have definitely viewed certain aspects of life in different ways. And I think, you know, I have a lot to be thankful for the lessons that I continuously learn here in Italy. And so I think it's really interesting to note that you can change as a person, you can evolve, you can grow. And just because you think something 2 years ago, it doesn't mean you still have to think the same thing again today. So I think that's a really important thing that I've learned on my journey here in Italy, is that it's okay to change, and it's okay to learn something every single day from your life and apply it to yourself, and, you know, become a much better person as a result. So if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll love this video right here, where I talk a little bit more about how you can live the Italian lifestyle wherever you may be in the world. Because honestly, there are some key aspects to life here in Italy that I think should be adopted in other countries, because they've made a significant difference to my life. I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.